I've been married 4 times to 2 different husbands. In each case, we remarried thinking it would be better. It was different, it wasn't better. First time I was married 25 years, and I had a year off for good behavior, and then I was married 2 years. To my second husband, I was married 3 years and then 18 months. That one was terminated by his death. But in each case, I see now, from what you're saying about freedom, my desire for freedom was clarifying to the point so much. I was becoming stronger and stronger and stronger in that aspect. As one husband said to me, "You're really just interested in romance." And in a sense, that was true. I thought maybe I'd rather be his mistress than his wife. Because in marriage, we're talking about 2 different things here. Sensuality, sexuality is one thing. Marriage is another. You've got children, you've got in-laws, you've got property, you've got responsibilities.
It turns out it is not possible to separate anything from anything, because at the core of all of those things is you and the way you feel. And so as you are feeling negative emotion or confusion about one part of your life, it bleeds over into all of the others.
That's right. And so finally, my desire for freedom dominated so much that in each case I left. And so when you're talking about growth, freedom, and joy, it was bringing no real joy. Well, some of it was joyful.
Can you see that you had opportunities to look for positive aspects, but because you were fixated upon negative aspects, that became your predominant experience?
Yes. But I so disliked the feeling hemmed in and pinned down and having to perform certain duties all the time that I did them, and I think I did them well. What I wanted was to be free, and be my own person.
You see, there are many things that are asked of you, and so many of you, when you begin talking in terms of freedom, really think that what you are seeking is the freedom from doing things, the freedom from responsibility to this and to this and to this and to this. What freedom is the acknowledgement that you may always choose. What freedom is the acknowledgement that you may choose positive aspect or negative aspect and therefore attract it into your experience. Have you noticed that in terms of physical activity, you are as busy now as you've ever been? In other words, you are serving many masters, so to speak.
I'm actually busier.
And yet you feel freer because you are not now focused upon lack. You are not seeing another as making demands on you that you are not wanting to make. You are making the decisions yourself to do this action, and that is what makes you feel that it is now freedom. Under any and all conditions, you can have that experience, no matter how demanding another is, just by choosing to see it as your choice. And even if it is my choice to please this one in this moment, that gives you the feeling of freedom. There have been studies done with little monkeys, and maybe some of them were people. It is hard for us sometimes to tell the difference. Where they were put into rooms, and some of them had buttons of escape to push. When you have had enough, just push this button and it will be enough. And in the other room, they had no button. Well, those that had the button did not push it, but they did not experience the negative trauma simply because they knew they had the option of pushing the button. Turned out the button didn't do anything anyway. The button didn't work. It was just their belief that they had an option, you see. And so what we would like you to acknowledge, and of course you have figured that out, is that you always have the option.
But when you have this triad of joy, freedom, and growth, 2 people are bound to grow, and usually in different directions. So that makes a constant compromise for freedom.
If you have come together in a forcible way, in other words, if you have made the decision to be together simply because you didn't want to be without someone, in other words, if it is from position of lack that the relationship has been formed to begin with, then we will agree that sometimes it is long and a little bit troublesome to bring yourselves to the harmony. But if you are joy seekers to begin with, then you do not have such a hard work at coming together in harmony once you are together. If there are 2 of you that are both seeking freedom and growth and joy, you can find perfect union with one another. Relationships go wrong or have trouble because you see the negative aspect, you see what you do not want, and you give it too much attention, and so you grow apart. Let us say that two of you come together and you have only one interest in common. And let us say it is the interest of sex. Nothing else in your experience do you agree on. You have two different occupations, you have two different sets of friends, you have two different sets of interests. One likes sports, one likes something entirely different. And so in all other 9 areas of your life, you are not in harmony, just in the one area. If you would give the majority of your thoughts regarding this other to the one area where you have harmony, your relationship will be powerful and important. But what happens to you because of the way you have been fostered in your environment, you believe that your marriage or that your coming together is a large blanket that must be laid over all aspects of your life. You really believe that you must be identical in all of these areas, that you must like the same things and want the same things, and that is what smothers you. It is the belief that you must now overlay everything the same. And we say, that was never your intention. If you had intended that, you would have come as individual beings, not intending any other co-creation. You would have your sexual experience satisfying and fulfilling unto yourself. You would have it in your dream state, so to speak. You came together as co-creators, wanting the experience of awakening in one another different things, but you did not come to be identical twins regarding all of these aspects, you see.
Well, I still think we're talking about two different things, marriage and sexuality.
Then we are talking about two different things, life and sexuality. In other words, you are the liver of your life.
Which one do you put within the other, sexuality within life?
Sexuality within life. Sexuality is one aspect of my physical experience. Interacting in work is one aspect of my physical experience. My own relationship with myself is part of my physical experience. What more?
If I'm taught that in order to inherit the kingdom of all the goodies, that I must I gotta get this word right, prostrate myself or humble myself, that humility and lowering myself is of the most value for me to gain or grow. Can you explain how that works?
What you are wanting to do in order to be deliberate creators is to align within yourself your beliefs and your desires, your thoughts. Desires are thoughts, beliefs are thoughts. And when you have thoughts that contradict with thoughts within you, that's what causes resistance. Sending thoughts off in opposing direction is what causes the tug of war within you, and it is also what makes you less powerful. Now, you are always attracting, but you are attracting by virtue of your dominant thought. Those things that you give more thought to are those things that are coming at you in a more powerful way. Now, because of the balance of the universe and because every thought has its balanced counterpart, health has the counterpart of sickness, prosperity has the counterpart of poverty, that is part of the balance of the universe, then as you are giving thought to health or to sickness, you are getting whatever it is you are giving thought to. Over a period of a lifetime, that which you have given the most thought to upon any subject is that which you are living. When you are believing, by virtue of what you've been taught, that it is of value for you to be humble. Humble meaning a recognition that there is that which is greater than you are.
Yes. Yeah, oh yes. That everything is.
And yet you are wanting wonderful things to come unto you. We would say that that belief of humility or humbleness and that desire for good things to come to you are not a good mixture. And in your lack of appreciation, and we would say that humility is an attempt at a lack of appreciation. Those are hard words to hear, aren't they? Because you have been taught for a very long time that humility is a virtuous thing. You've also been taught that empathy and sympathy are virtuous. And yet what we are wanting you to understand is that as you allow yourself to be unappreciative of self, as you compare yourself to other things and decide that you are less, as you feel that, now it all depends. You see, these words are dangerous because they mean different things to different beings. If you are using the word humility and you are feeling very wonderful about it, then you are not in a position of conflicting with anything that you are wanting. But if in your humility you are feeling inferior, not as good as, not as worthy as, not appreciating self, now you have a problem. Now you are standing in the way of allowing into your experience what you are wanting.